Hello everyone. So in today's session we are going to understand how the client installation work from both client and server side with log analysis. So whenever we are trying to install a SCCM client, there are few prerequisites check that we need to perform. Here are few of them. We are going to check all the prerequisites one by one. You can also check. So let's check. Let me show you how we can check if our prerequisites for client installation are completed or not, or if they are accurate or not. So there are four prerequisites as we have discussed. The first one is the ports, second one is the client push installation account, which should be a part of local administrator. The third one is admin $C, and the fourth one is automatic client push installation should be enabled. So currently my SCCM server is CM1. Let me check. One of the prerequisite is to see if the admin dollar is been accessible or not. It is nothing but just checking if you're able to access the C dollar from the SCCM server. So this is my client machine or target machine where I need to install the client. This is important because once the installation is triggered, there will be a lot of files which would be copying from the SCCM server to this client machine under the C Windows folder. So currently we can access this C dollar. So one of the prerequisites is completed. Now let me check if the second prerequisite is which is the client push account is part of a local administrator. So my client push account is Uh, 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 it is corp/lab admin. Okay, let me log into my client machine. So my client machine is GW1. So to check if that account is added as a local administrator, we'll right click on the startup menu. We'll go to computer management. We will go to local users and group, then groups, administrator, right click, properties. Okay, corp/domain admin and lab admin. So my second prerequisite is completed. Now the third prerequisite is I need to see whether my ports are listening or my ports are on for communication. Port 445, which is SMB, 135 RPC, which is used to query the WMI, and port 80 and 443. These are the ports that are been normally used for communication. And it should be open because 135 and 445, whenever the client installation is happening, there is a lot of WMI query which is going to happen on the background. So these ports is important. Also, a lot of folders are going to get created, a lot of registries are going to get created, and that is the reason these ports should be open. So to check if these ports are open or not, we have to open command prompt as an administrator. Let me just this is the command. Just a second. Okay, we will check these command one by one. So let me open CMD as an administrator. Yes. Okay. So I have run my first command. Okay, these ports are listening, and I'll check the same for 135 and 445. Okay, 445 is listening as wait. 135, sorry, it is listening. I'll check the port 445, and here we go. This is listening as well. That means my third prerequisite is also working. I will paste these commands on my YouTube description so that you can copy it from there. So the last, not the least, we need to check whether the automatic client push is enabled on the SCCM or not. So we'll go to the client push installation setting, and we can see the automatic client push sidewise client push installation account is enabled. Okay, here we can confirm all the prerequisites which are important for a client installation are completed. So we should be good to go ahead and install the client. Okay, so as the part one of prerequisites check has been done, let me show you how the installation goes from the server side first. So currently we are on the CM1, my SCCM server. This is my client machine, my target machine GW1. Please ignore this client is active. It is taking some time to get updated. I just did the uninstallation manually for this machine. Okay, so whenever we do a right click to install client. Next, always allow the client, uninstall the older version. And okay, so currently we have initiated the installation. The first thing that happens on the server end is if we go to this PC, program files, Microsoft Configuration Manager, here is the inbox folder where is the ccr.box. So the files get drops here and get processed, and immediately it will get removed. That means the installation has been triggered from the server side. Currently we are not able to see it because it was very quick. But sometimes the client installation, whenever we are trying to push a client, they are not happening and it is taking a lot of time because the CCR retry.box may be full. So I would advise you to check the CCR retry.box as well. So whenever we try to push a client and it get fails, and then we have the automatic client push installation settings where it will try to install the clients uh, each and every day. So there is a backlog which is getting created. So try to delete these files which are under CCR retry.box to expedite the client installation. So once the client installation is done, there are few things that are happening on the background. Let's check the logs. The logs that we are going to see under program files, configuration manager, log, ccm.log. Okay, so let me, okay, my machine was GW1. So currently you can see that the process has been initiated. So whenever a client push installation has been triggered, there are a few things. The first thing is that it will access the C dollar as which is one of the prerequisite with our corp admin account, which is a part of local administrator. This is why this is required, the prerequisites. And it copies two files from the SCCM server to the client machine. Those two files are ccmsetup.exe and mobile client.tcf. You can see currently copying mobile client TCF and ccmsetup.exe. So these two files are been copied to the C Windows. There is a folder created which is CCM setup where these two files should be copied. And sometimes if there is any error which is related to prerequisite there is any issue, you have to check the ccm.log. So this is the only major log which will give us the specific reason. For example, if it has not been able to access the C dollar, or if there is any Kerberos authentication issue, or if there is any error, we would be able to see it here. I would request you to, whenever you are trying, because there are a lot of client push installation happening on the background, whenever you are checking your machine, put a control F, and you can just type your machine name GW1 in my scenario. I'll click on up and we can see what is happening. Also, you can go to uh, tools, highlight, so all the settings which are happening on the background, you can check it for your machine, which will help us or which will help you to get more about what is happening on the background. So on the client installation front, this is what happens on the server end. Now we will switch back to our client machine GW1 and see what is happening over there. Okay, so now I am logged into my machine GW1. So from the server side, all the part of server end has been completed. We will check few things on the client machine right now. So whenever a client push installation is account on any machine, we need to go to C Windows, and there are three folders which would be created: CCM, CCM cache, and CCM setup. As we discussed that two files which have been copied from the server end, which was mobile client.tcf, which is this one, and ccmsetup.exe, which is this one. So these two files are been copied from our server, and then we will see what happens on the background. So to see what happens whenever a client is getting installed, let me first of all get my CM trace install. So we'll go to CCM folder, CM trace. Here we go. Okay, we'll go to our CCM setup logs folder. Always remember, whenever a client installation is happening uh, on the client side, two important logs we need to check. First one is CCM setup and Client.MSI.Log. The location would be same: C Windows CCM setup and logs. We have got our CM trace. Now we will see what is happening on the background over here. It is updated at 6:07 currently, I guess. Let's wait for a few minutes. Okay. Okay, if we go to top, or if you would like to see what is happening on the background, just you can roll back to top or put a control F and just mention CCM started. This is kind of command that will help you to understand the entire process. So the first thing that it will check is the platform. It will check the architecture, on what architecture this machine is. Is it a Windows 10? Is it a Windows Server? It will see, it will explain you which client version it is going to install. Also, if we go further, we would be able to see, yeah, this is the command line which is getting installed, uh, which is getting triggered, and which is actually installing the client. So, whenever the two files, which is mobile client.tcf and ccmsetup.exe, are been copied, technically this machine is completely blank. So whenever the machine needs to get the further files for the client installation, like if there is any prerequisites, it can reach out to the MP, and from MP it can reach out to the DP, where it can copy all those important client folder which has been used for the entire installation. So technically in the first process, because this is a very blank machine, it doesn't have any client. So what it will do is to get the management point information, it will reach out to the ED and it will query the system container where we have published our site. So that is how the first time it got the MP location. Let me show it to you just a second. Okay, it is currently querying the AD, and now yeah, it received the management name, which is our management name is CM1 corpcontosor.com. Once it receives the management point information, it will download the important policies and it will look for the distribution point. Let me see. Distribution point. Yes, it found MP certificate. Okay, it is still trying to find the MP DP location as per the log. Let me roll it down further. Okay, AD site, forest name, IP address, range. Okay, here it got the details regarding the distribution point. If you see the path where our rest of the important files and folder are there, so it will install those files and folder. So whenever a machine is getting the DP information, it is downloading all the prerequisites, which is important, like if there is any C++ file or any other file, it will download those files from using the bit services. Let me check. Okay, so in our scenario, we can see, okay, most of the files are updated. So none of the files have been required. We can see this files, whatever is needed, it is installing and downloading those files. Okay, once the installation completes, and it will take at least 10 to 15 minutes, we need to be very much patient and we have to wait for the message which says CCM setup is exiting with return code 0. This is the first sign that our client is successfully installed. This message can be exit with return code 7 as well, which means this machine needs a reboot for the final installation of the client. And there are a few more things that you can check. Okay, whenever we return a CCM setup with return code 0, we need to go to our control panel. We can see there is a configuration manager option which should appear. Okay. Sorry, it took some time. I guess it was still running on the background. Yeah, I closed and opened the control panel. I can see the configuration manager tab is here. So this is the configuration manager tab. We can see our assigned management point and we can see our unique GUID and our certificate. The important thing is we need to switch to action cycle. So if we are only seeing two of the action cycles over here, that means the client is having some issues with the installation. Either the installation didn't went well, or the client registration is an issue. We will discuss the client registration further. But meanwhile, if you're only able to see two of the services, which is just a second, normally the machine policy and the user policy. That means there is some issue with the registration. We have to investigate that. But currently in our scenario, everything went smooth. So we can see this is successfully installed. Also, we would be able to see our software center. I guess it is lagging, but here we can see, yeah, we can see our software center is also loading, and that is the most important steps that has happened so far. So there are a few more things that happens. Okay, this is not just that the CCM setup is exiting with return code 0. That means our client is installed, because whenever a client is successfully install on the background, it also needs to register itself with the SCCM client. So for that, we need to check some other logs. So we will switch back to C, Windows, CCM, and our logs folder. So whenever a client is initiating a registration, it will itself register a unique GUID, and it will share those details with the management point. So we need to check the Client.MSI.Log. And okay, here we would be able to see in our scenario the client got approved. Whenever a client is approved, we would be able to confirm in the same Client.ID.Managerstartup.log with approval status 1. If it is 0, then there is some issue with the registration. In most of the case, the issue is whether the GUID is not unique, or it can be something else if the MP is not been able to process the files which are been sent by the client machine. And also for the logs that we need to see is these details are being sent using CCM messaging. So ccmessaging.log is required. Just a second. Okay, here it is. And it is sending all those details to the management point. So it is raising a GUID ID. It will reach out to the MP, then the MP will check whether this GUID is unique. Once the MP has confirmed it, it will send one message to the client stating the client is approved without any issue. Also, these things are being sent to management point using location services. So in most of the cases, because we can have multiple management point in our scenario, so location service will also we also need to check the location services.log to see which MP it is reaching out. It runs a query, LDAP query to reach the correct MP. So these three logs we need to check, technically five logs. So the first three logs we need to check that are under CCM setup logs, client CCMSetup.log and Client.MSI.Log. Both the logs will give us the information regarding how our installation went. If there is any issue, these are the logs that we need to go through. Other logs, once the client installation is done, we can see the software center, all the action cycles are in our control panel. Then we can simply go to the by default log folder for our machine, which is under C Windows CCM logs. Here we need to check the Client.IDManagerstartup.log, which will send uh, the unique GUID to the management point using the location services and CCM messaging. So by any chance, if it is not reaching out to the management point, or if you're only able to see two of the action cycles on the configuration tab, we have to investigate further on the client registration part. So that is it from the client side. Just one more good to know information. Whenever the client will send the information to the CCM or our SCCM server, so the log which is involved on the server side, it would be mp underscore registration dot log. Let me see mp. It should be under management point. No, I'm missing it. It should be under, let me check. mp underscore, yeah. So yeah, it would be under the SMS underscore CCM folder, mp underscore registration manager. So sometimes if from client side everything is fine, if they have sent the request successfully to the correct management point, using the CCM messaging and location services, this is the log that you need to check, the mp underscore registration manager.log. So this by this log we can see, so this is our unique GUID which recently came, um, and which got approved as well. So if you have any questions, you can drop your comments under the YouTube box. Yeah, you can see this client is now coming up as active. If there is any suggestion, you can let me know. If there is any mistake, you can let me know. I'm still a learner just like you. And if you like my content, I will try to make such more content. Please subscribe. This is very important for people like us, small creators. And thank you. Have a good day.